Hello and welcome to Mad About Film. Today I'm going to review Cold War by Pawel Pawlikowski. It's a great film, it's a really interesting film. It's one of my favourites probably this year, so let's get to the trailer.
Dwa serduszka, cztery oczy, ojojoj, co płakały we dnie w nocy, ojojoj. Czarne oczka, co płaczecie, że się spotkać nie możecie, że się spotkać nie możecie. Mnie matula zakazała, ojojoj, żebym chłopca nie kochała, ojojoj. A ja chłopca chaps za szyję, będę kochać póki żyję, będę kochać póki żyję.
Cold War is a beautiful film played out really well by two characters, Zula and Victor. Both of the characters are played by Joanna Kulig and Tomasz, and essentially the story is about two lovers during the Cold War, hence the title Cold War. But essentially what it looks at is the social demographic ideas of what Poland was going through after World War II. It kind of picks up around about 1945, in between 1945 and 1949, and essentially is Victor is a recording artist and is going around the villages of Poland recording the sounds of people's villages. And it's kind of like, it's a really interesting way of kind of telling how people, Polish people and people in their villages told their stories through the medium of song. He works with two people, another guy called Kaczmarek and another lady who I can't quite remember the name of. Another character called Irina, I can't say it because it's Polish, Agata Kulesza as Irina Bieleka. Anyway. The three characters basically go around the villages recording music of the communities, and what they're trying to do is actually bring the communities together. It seems that they're kind of funded by the government, because it seems like the government has told them to kind of go around and record these things and also bring communities together by performing and also allowing aspirational, inspirational kind of situations or shows to happen for the people in the villages. The backdrop of communism is a very heavy kind of element to the film, and it's really interesting how obviously this kind of stuff was probably based on truth. It's like most communist regimes, they want to bring people under the control of the state, so essentially that's what they're trying to do, but they're doing it through the medium of song and music and art and creativity, and say, look, we can do this together as a community and as a whole. It's really interesting how the premise is set up, and it's also done quite simply. And also the great thing about the film is that you see all the close-ups of the actual characters. Victor's close-ups of his face, you know, it's kind of ragged and worn, yet at the same time there's hope in his face. And you know, Irina, the kind of like teacher woman, his colleague, who is a bit older, like, you know, seems a bit ragged and weary, and yet Kaczmarek is the government man, and he kind of like pushes through the idea of like, let's do this all together, and this is amazing. So it's about artistry and skill, and it developing through the communist regimes into something bigger and as a whole. Throughout this process, this is when Victor meets Zula, who is a really interesting character, and you see Joanna Kulig play her really, really well in this film. She's got something straight away. You're captured to her. The way she's framed in the film is really, really good, and really you're drawn into her as such, which is, you know, by no mistake of his own, Pawel Pawlikowski's key to actually bringing the audience into her mindset and into her characterization. So the dynamic carries on, and essentially they both fall in love, and you see this troubled relationship go through the stages, and also about, you know, the premise of, like, you know, how this artistic expression, how being an artist in a communist regime isn't what Victor wants, and how he struggles with that, and yet he's found this love and it's all empowering, and he doesn't want to live without Zula and stuff like that. So essentially what he does is defect to the West. He goes to be a jazz musician in Paris, and then goes through the troubles of what that brings in terms of what it means to the relationship. The real focus of this film is the relationship between Victor and Zula, and there's such lovely touches in the film that you're just kind of drawn into it. It's like a Jean-Luc Godard film. It's like watching Breathless for the first time. It's really like, it's kind of like, it's just a fantastic film. And the way it's segmented, the way it's kind of brought together, the way the structure's put together, it just flows really, really well. And you slowly and surely fall in love with the couple. And it's just done. I mean, I love films that have a backdrop of music and musicians and, you know, jazz and all that kind of stuff. So essentially, this was the kind of film for me. So I'm going to be biased towards this film. Plus, you know, there's also the idea of Poland and communist regimes and all that stuff. That's really interesting historical background to the story. And also, I'm a bit obsessed with World War II and Cold War kind of stuff. So seeing a film called Cold War was a bit of a given, really, for me. So essentially, I love this film. But I'm trying to be objective about it. I love this film because of the director and the story and the love story and the Cold War setting, and that's fine. But the thing is, as a story and as a structure and as it's brought together, and the framing and the way the shots are, the way the music flows through every single scene, that's the key thing about understanding what this film's about. It's understanding what is artistic expression, what is it about it that actually pulls us through. And I think that's really, really important to watch in this film. So for me, I'm going to give Cold War, not even 9 out of 10, I'm going to give it 10 out of 10 because I'm going to wholeheartedly put my stamp on it, and I think it's a film worth checking out and really, really worth seeing. So if you get a chance, go see Cold War, Pawel Pawlikowski's new film. It's out now. It's on available at Curzon cinemas, also at the Cine Lumiere in London, which I tried to get tickets to, but anyway. And it's also on Curzon On Demand, so you can watch it online or in the cinemas. Check it out now. It's well worth it.